Okay. Hey, what's up everyone? It's Chase, aka That Gay Jedi, and welcome to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. I usually like to make a lot more lighthearted content online, but this video is definitely going to be more serious in tone, and for good reasons. This is a very important thing to be aware of, and it's a very important movement to me. So if you have the time, I ask that you please watch it all the way through. If you follow me on Twitter, then you probably already know that I am very passionate about calling attention to the hashtag BlackOutStarWarsEclipse movement. And this video is just another way for me to do that. A lot of folks are aware of the situation and have been using the hashtag, but in the small chance that some people out there don't know what's going on, I wanted to make sure that I was doing my part in getting the word out. Before I get into things though, I do have a couple of disclaimers I want to put out up top. One is that I am not in any way making this video for attention or clicks or clout or subscribers. Like, if anything, I anticipate losing subscribers over this, but like that doesn't matter because this entire issue isn't about me. It's about questioning why people with power with alleged accusations against them, like the CEOs of Quantic Dream, are rewarded with like contracts and collaborations and money. The reason I am making this video is because I believe that every Star Wars fan has a right to know what's going on. And honestly, with Quantic Dream being a France-based company, it's kind of hard to like get all the information. A lot of the articles about this are written in French, or like a lot of the information is disseminated across multiple articles. So I kind of wanted to create a video with as much information in it as possible. Also, since the announcement of this game, I have said first and foremost that the most important thing that everyone can do is just educate themselves on the topic. Learn as much as you can about sort of Quantic Dream and the allegations against them, and come to your own conclusions. That being said, I will be offering my own opinions on this, but that will be made obvious throughout the video. Another hope of mine in making this video is that other Star Wars fans who are upset about this feel seen. At best, this announcement has been a huge letdown for Star Wars fans, and at worst, it has been a source of heartache and pain for many others. If you are in one or both of these camps, my hope is that this video invigorates you to keep the hope alive that Star Wars is truly for everyone. Lastly, I just wanted to put out a trigger warning for homophobia, racism, and misogyny, and also let you all know that there's really no way for me to cover every single fact or even share every single one of my opinions. But that being said, I will do my best to cover all of the allegations and to cover all of the facts, as well as share most of my opinions on them. But yeah, just keep that in mind as we watch the video. Without further ado, let's get into it. So with all those disclaimers out of the way, I just wanted to sort of give a brief overview, synopsis, like Spark Notes version of what exactly is going on for those who don't know. Basically, back in December at the Game Awards, it was announced that Lucasfilm would be collaborating with a video game developer called Quantic Dream on a new video game called Star Wars Eclipse. Now, for those who don't know, Quantic Dream has a pretty checkered past when it comes to accusations of homophobia, racism, misogyny, and all-around toxic workplace environments. They also have a reputation for pretty shitty video games, but it is no surprise then that many Star Wars fans were upset by the news of Quantic Dream developing this new Star Wars video game. And honestly, I just have to play this clip from YouTuber and Twitch streamer Digigator because I think it speaks volumes.
Star Wars Eclipse. Oh, okay. I thought it was going to be Nihilist for a second. Oh, no. No. No, 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 no.
Oh no. Oh. It's a David Cage's studio. Oh no.
What a way to kick off.
Damn, I just said that.
Eclipse.
Eclipse? Oh, that's brand new.
Brand new Star Wars.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
Well, it's a cinematic trailer that didn't tell me shit. I can only get so excited, but that... Uh-oh. 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 Not David Cage! Not David Cage!
Game
It took her a long time to get that out. She was like, oh no. Oh no.
What kind of game is that though?
No idea. That was a big old.
Oh, it's not pod racing. Yeah. What is that?
Take all of what you just saw. If there's any excitement, any joy, any wonder, any bewilderment for the world of Star Wars, and just package it all up
I felt like the outsider
and flush it down the toilet.
Oh, no.
David Cage. That's what that logo means.
Yep, that's the
That
lens.
logo means
That's the lens.
Star Wars
Through the lens of
Lucas Cross David Cage.
Yeah. It's also important to note that the story in Star Wars Eclipse is set within the High Republic era of Star Wars. And while I'm not fully caught up on the novels and comics of this era, I have celebrated alongside so many other Star Wars fans the push that those novels and comics have made for actualized representation of BIPOC people and queer people within Star Wars. That said, the fact that Star Wars Eclipse is set within such a progressive era of Star Wars packs a very sobering punch. In my opinion, Quantic Dream's entrance into the High Republic era signals a slowing, if not a possible stalling, of actualized representation in Star Wars. So, since the announcement of Star Wars Eclipse, there's been a call from the fanbase to hashtag BlackOutStarWarsEclipse. And before I get further into it later in the video, this movement is, in short, a call for Lucasfilm to address their collaboration with Quantic Dream in some way. Whether that's a statement from them or finding a new collaborator, who knows? That is really not for me to figure out, but I do have some suggestions that I will outline at the end of the video. But before we get into that, let's catch up on the history of Quantic Dream and its two CEOs. So, like I said, I'm not going to cover every single little detail, but just so you know, there are some really great articles written about it recently by Gizmodo as well as Inverse that I'll have linked in the description below. I'll also be referencing a few articles throughout the video that will also be linked in the description below should you want to read up on my sources. So now, let's go over some of the allegations against Quantic Dream and its two CEOs, shall we? So as an overall vibe check, let's look at this Eurogamer article written by Robert Purchase, or Purchese. In it, the writer states that both Quantic Dream CEOs David Cage and Guillaume de Fondemieux are accused of inappropriate behavior, overworking staff, and colluding in, or at least turning a blind eye to, a schoolboy culture involving sexist and racist jokes. In addition to this alleged toxic workplace environment, Quantic Dream also has a pretty horrific story about photoshopped images being passed around the office. These photoshopped images are alleged to have included homophobic, racist, and sexist slurs. There are more specifics on this story online, but that's the main gist of it, and I just don't really feel comfortable getting into any more of like the dirty details of it, but you can read more about those online. Anyways, this Photoshop fiasco eventually led to a court case against Quantic Dream, and initially they lost that court case that was filed against them. However, as many opposers online like to point out, this case was indeed overturned years later by another court. But to that I say, it's not that uncommon for courts to overturn results, and honestly, in my opinion, it doesn't really mean that much. My friend M from Pink Milk said it best when she said, courts are not arbiters of reality. And if I'm not mistaken, companies with a lot of money and people with a lot of power can oftentimes use their privileges to overturn court rulings. And to be clear, I'm not saying this happened here. I just think it's an important thing to note and share my opinion on, because a lot of trolls online like to just highlight the fact that it was overturned, when in reality, to me, that doesn't mean that much. Also, another important thing to note regarding this court case being overturned is that Le Monde and Mediapart, two French news outlets, spoke to 15 current and former members of staff who claimed that these photoshopped images were emblematic of a troubling company culture. This quote, by the way, is taken from a Guardian article written by Keith Stewart, and in my opinion, it's just like not that hard to do the math here. If there are 15 people coming out and saying that something is wrong, I don't know. What do I know? I am just a unqualified YouTuber online, on the internet. But regardless, I felt that that was an important fact to highlight. Another story I think is important to highlight is this one written by Natalie Flores for a website called Fanbyte. In their article, Flores writes, apparently, in attempting to deny social fraud, Quantic Dream reportedly proudly displayed documents regarding an employee's dismissal that were supposed to show the company in a good light. Instead, the documents ended up revealing irregularities involving the dismissal. At another point in the trial, dozens of letters of dismissal were shown, all identical, entirely copy-paste, of which only the name of the employee changed, with always the same mention, differences of opinion with the management, including in the case of the self-dismissal of de Fondemier. Upon being asked about this, de Fondemier reportedly asked if he could lie. Do I even have to unpack that one, you guys? Like, in my opinion, this alleged behavior is extremely telling of how these guys disregard their employees and their legitimate concerns. It also just reminds me of the countless stories about queer people, people of color, and women in the workplace who are terminated for differences of opinion, when in reality, it has been shown that that, like, excuse is used for a lot of other reasons. So, again, just think it's interesting. I don't know. I'm not claiming anything. I just think it's interesting. There's also a really horrific story about Elliot Page, who worked with Quantic Dream for a video game called Beyond Two Souls. In short, Page refused to model nude for the video game, and Quantic Dream went ahead and digitally created a nude body for their character. And this nude character model, to my understanding, was not accessible by the players in the game, but images of the fully rendered nude character with Page's face on it were leaked online, and that was understandably very upsetting to Page. And again, I don't really feel comfortable getting into the nitty-gritty of this story, but I do think it's an important story to highlight because, in my opinion, it is emblematic of the way Quantic Dream considers or doesn't consider bodily autonomy, and it also demonstrates the varying levels of respect Quantic Dream offers to its employees and collaborators. And if all of that wasn't enough, Natalie Flores also writes in their article about David Cage and alleged comments he made in court while representing Quantic Dream. Flores writes, Cage was allegedly stamping around in tears, exclaiming, "You are interfering in my business, and this case touches my honor," before leaving the court, fleeing the pleas of defense lawyers. This came across as ironic to those present, given that he has allegedly publicly stated sentences like, "In my games, all women are whores, and at Quantic Dream, we do not make games for f***s." In response to accusations of homophobia and sexism, Cage is reported as saying, "You want to talk about homophobia? We work with Elliot Page, who fights for LGBT rights. You want to talk about racism? We work with Jesse Williams, who fights for civil rights in the United States. Judge my work." This is just probably one of the cringiest responses I've ever heard in my entire life, and I think we get the point, so let's just move on. All right, so with all of that out of the way, I thought it would be nice to sort of share some of my experience surrounding this movement and cover the history of the hashtag and sort of talk about some of the intentions and demands of the movement, or at least how I understand them. So when I first saw that Quantic Dream would be developing Star Wars Eclipse, I wasn't really fazed because I didn't know anything about them. And then I took to Twitter and saw a couple people talking about some of the allegations and accusations against David Cage. And my first immediate thought was very much dismissing everything. I was very much along the lines of, you know what, it's just a video game, who cares? And also even if I do care and even if I am upset, the game is still going to be made, it's still going to be made with them and people are still going to buy it, which was obviously a very jaded place to be. And to be clear, I'm not proud of this reaction. There's a certain amount of shame I feel for the way I responded to the initial complaints that I saw on Twitter about David Cage. But I think that it really shows sort of how normalized this behavior has become because me, a non-binary queer Star Wars fan, literally read some of the things that David Cage has been reported to say. And I just so quickly was oh, whatever, that's normal. People feel that way. People talk like that. People in power, talk openly about people like me in this way. And if I want to play this video game, it's my job to accept that and put away any feelings I feel about it, put them to the side so that I can enjoy a video game. That to me shows why it's so important that we make noise about this. No one should have to do that. And it has been something that has chipped away just a little bit at my love for Star Wars, and I know it has for a lot of other people too. So yeah, I just thought I'd share that was my initial response, at least, to the announcement of Star Wars Eclipse with Quantic Dream. Anyways, I decided to do more research on the topic, and the more I learned, the more horrified I was, and the more motivated I felt to get the word out and try to make a change. So for those who don't know, I'm a co-host on a podcast called Pink Milk, and every Friday night we do live streams. And the night after the announcement of Star Wars Eclipse, we had a live stream planned, and obviously we spent the entire live stream unpacking Quantic Dream's history and sort of talking about what was going on and the response that the fandom was having. And it was a really interesting thing to be a part of. And all of the amazing people in the live chat came up with a hashtag for us to use as we continue to try to get the word out. And that hashtag is BlackOutStarWarsEclipse. The hashtag started to gain more and more traction as people became more aware of it and the movement itself. And honestly, like, the way that this hashtag has been embraced by the fandom and the way that people have used it to take a stand against Quantic Dream and its CEOs, it has been one of the most healing parts about this entire experience. And I cannot thank everyone enough who has used this hashtag. That being said, there is also a narrative being pushed online by some trolls along the lines of only social justice warrior crybabies care about this. But in reality, it is so much more than that. It is straight people fighting as much as queer people, men as much as women, and white people as much as people of color. It is the amount of allyship has been so powerful, and it's been allyship on so many fronts. So that's a really important thing to remember, especially as trolls try to like hijack that sort of like narrative. Yeah, a lot of people care about this, and a lot of Star Wars fans aren't okay with it. Speaking of trolls, I wanted to take a second to clarify what this movement is and what it isn't, because I have had many, many people online try to corner me or label the movement and sort of like speak for it. And I just want to be very clear on what Blackout Star Wars Eclipse is here to do and what it's not here to do. At the very minimum, hashtag Blackout Star Wars Eclipse is about drawing attention to the consistent actions and behaviors by those running Quantic Dream Studios. It is about, again, at the very least, interrupting behaviors that have become so painfully normalized. It is not just an excuse for people to complain for complaining's sake, nor is it a call to cancel a video game. Like, this isn't a cancel culture thing. I've had so many people come to me and like ask for evidence and say or claim that there's no evidence, and like I just don't. I understand that a lot of this evidence is alleged, but there's a lot of alleged evidence. And there's a lot of alleged evidence that has been coming out since 2013, and as recent as like 2017 and 18. Like, all I'm saying is if it looks like a duck and it swims like a duck and it quacks like a duck, then it's probably a duck. Now, hashtag Blackout Star Wars Eclipse is a group of countless Star Wars fans who are rightfully concerned about a video game developer like Quantic Dream, with CEOs like David Cage being put in charge of a Star Wars video game that takes place within the most incredible, representation-rich eras of Star Wars that we've ever had. It is not a way for Star Wars fans to chase clout, nor is it a way for marginalized fans to push any sort of agenda. And if you actually think that, after listening to everything I listed out about Quantic Dream's past or its two CEOs, if you actually still think that this movement is a way for people, marginalized fans, to push agendas or for them to like achieve any ulterior motive, then in reality, you probably just don't like queer people or people of color or women. So sorry, had to say it. And finally, hashtag Blackout Star Wars Eclipse is about fans demanding to be seen, heard, and respected, while also holding Lucasfilm accountable to promises they have made in the past to be a better change in the world, and also holding them accountable for messages they preach about Star Wars being for everyone. So what do I think people can do about it? I have said since the beginning, I think learning as much as you can about the situation is always the best thing to do, and also coming up to your own conclusions about it. And if by chance you do agree with me and so many other fans who are upset about this announcement, I would encourage you to spread the word. Even maybe, hey, Maybe even send an email to Lucasfilm. I don't know. But getting the word out is going to be a huge, huge part of this, because more people need to be made aware of the amount of awful, awful accusations against the people at Quantic Dream. Additionally, I just think it's really important to keep the conversation going and to keep the momentum of the movement going and alive. Neither Lucasfilm nor Disney are going to pay much attention to a disturbance that just comes and goes. Like, we have to make an organized effort at continuing the upset and boosting the interruption. Finally, I just think it's important for us to remember that this isn't an issue just about some like random Star Wars video game, nor is it just an issue that's like specific to Star Wars. This kind of behavior and how it's normalized is a much bigger issue that transcends our small fandom. It is an issue that touches every seat of power across every like neighborhood, city, state, country. You get the picture. It's important. And now, for everyone's favorite question, what do I think Lucasfilm should do about this? Well, first and foremost, I would like Lucasfilm to let the fans know that they are, one, at the very least, aware of the accusations against David Cage and Quantic Dream, and two, also aware of the hurt that it has caused, because the hurt is real. I also think it's fair to ask Lucasfilm to clarify David Cage's involvement in the video game. And should they choose to continue to collaborate with Quantic Dream, I think Lucasfilm ought to clarify how they plan on ensuring the diversity and equality already set forth in the High Republic era of Star Wars. So there you have it, a non-comprehensive breakdown of Quantic Dream's soiled past and an honest rundown of the movement behind #BlackOutStarWarsEclipse. While I do obviously hope that this video inspires more people to get behind the movement, I also understand that regardless of how many horrific accusations there are against Quantic Dream and its CEOs, some people just won't agree, and that's fine, like, to each their own. Honestly, to me, this whole issue is also about like conscious consumerism and whether or not people believe in rewarding abusive behavior, whether it's alleged or proven. And personally, I care less about individual people's opinions on that than I do about Lucasfilm's decision to like just completely look past the allegations against Quantic Dream and its CEOs. I think it's fair to call the Star Wars fandom at best a fandom in healing, and collaborations like these make it so much harder to heal and to come together as a fandom. It also just makes it like so much harder to be a Star Wars fan. Small decisions like these have huge implications on fans' ability to enjoy a franchise. Like, just for the record, the amount of hate and harassment I've received online just for having an opinion about this is like you couldn't even imagine. I don't like to spend like too much time talking about that, but it's pretty brutal. And I've even seen people claim that they are more excited to play the video game once they learn about the allegations against Quantic Dream, and the allegations on like who David Cage is. So yeah, I mean, that definitely takes a toll. And that's why I do think that Lucasfilm has a responsibility in who they choose to collaborate with. Anyways, I'm done rambling. I hope this video was in some ways helpful or informative or comforting or inspiring. It's a lot, I know, but I really just want to take a second and say thank you if you're still watching this. I really, really appreciate you watching to the end, and I appreciate you watching at all. Obviously, I gotta say, like, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up, and leave a respectful comment below. Connecting with other fans who are also passionate about this has been a very healing thing for me and so many other people. And I will try my best to keep the comment section open, but as soon as I feel like it's getting a little bit too toxic, which maybe might not happen, I might have to disable the comments just because of what I've seen in the past. But yeah, let me know what you think down below. Thank you all so much again for watching. I hope you're having an amazing day or night or whatever time you're watching this video. I love you all so much, and may the Force be with you always.